bon après-midi. Welcome back. I hope you all had a very nice lunch, a little break. And welcome back to this afternoon symposium, of invited symposium. Symposium sur les échanges en ligne et l'apprentissage d'une langue à distance. Symposium on online learning and exchanges. My name is Seror, and I have the pleasure of being the moderator / timekeeper for this presentation. I'll do my best. But I'm very happy to be able to welcome you back to this session, which is going to be all about technology and online exchanges and the impact this has for classrooms and language classrooms in general. We also have, and I think this is particularly proper for such a conference, the participation of someone from the virtual world with us today, Joe Hopkins, which you can't see right now, but you will see him and hear him. Let's cross our fingers. We know he's there and he can hear us, and you'll be able to ask him questions and he'll be able to participate. Donc, très très rapidement, parce que l'autre grand message pour vous, c'est que c'est vraiment c'est fait pour mener à des discussions. Donc, vous allez voir, il y a des présentations assez rapides, un panel très très intéressant avec Aline Germain-Rutherford de Middlebury College, qui est l'organisatrice du symposium, suivi de Michael Power de l'Université Laval, suivi de Joe Hopkins de the Open University en Catalogne, et c'est lui qui est dans le monde virtuel. We then have Ushi Stickler, also from the Open University UK, who will be speaking to us. And at the very end, 5 minutes each will be given to two invited speakers who have kindly accepted to work as discussants, Carol Chappell and Elizabeth Murphy. So thank you to everyone for coming, and I wish you will all have a good symposium, and I'll let the organizer of the symposium give you a few words.
Merci beaucoup, Jérémy. Thanks a lot. 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, just to tell you what we're going to speak about. So the theme, as you can see, is online learning and exchanges. Et la façon dont ça va se dérouler, nous allons avoir Michael Power qui va d'abord nous donner une certaine vue d'ensemble, et une vue critique sur les différents modèles et les différentes pratiques en matière de technologie éducative et d'apprentissage en ligne et à distance. Ensuite, on aura 2 exemples beaucoup plus pratiques, en fin de compte, avec, so I'm going to switch in English, with Joe Hopkins, who is in Barcelona, the Open University of Catalonia, who is going to tell us about actually the online courses that he is developing and teaching, and also how through a community of practices the teachers are supporting each other and training each other. Then my own presentation, I'll show a very practical example of what we are developing in terms of online language learning for high school students, not higher education, but high school students in the States. And then we will end with a presentation from Ushi Stickler from Open University in UK, and she's going to tell us about a European project that has been developed for the training of teachers who want to know more about online teaching and learning and technologies about that. So, sans plus tarder, je vais donc laisser la parole à Michael Power.
Well, it's always nice to come to a place where people, wandering bands of students, don't throw rocks at you. Buongiorno. Guten Tag. Bonjour, tout le monde. Okay, so it'll be in English. I'm a native Quebecer, as you can see. Okay, so I'll be talking about, in the next 15 minutes, a model of sustainable online learning in 15 minutes. Okay, it's been a long time coming. We've done a lot of things in the universities to improve outreach. This is an article that appeared in 2011, and my talk is based on that with Morgan Gould. It's in Erodal International Review of Research in Open and Distance Learning. Erodal, just Google us. Okay, so first of all, I'll be looking at recent developments in educational technology, specifically in online learning, as they apply to language teaching and learning. Secondly, I'll critique existing practices of distance education, online learning, and blended learning, and then I'll introduce a model that we're developing at Laval University, which tries to reconcile quality, accessibility, and cost effectiveness. So in language studies, usually what happens is you're looking either at language acquisition, the undergraduate level, or linguistics and literature at the graduate level. I'm more focused at that level. The kind of work we're doing really involves using synchronous and asynchronous technology, having small groups. So in graduate studies, we tend to have smaller groups and it's more manageable. If I'm speaking too fast, do let me know. I probably am. My wife always tells me I speak too fast. Okay, the university. Traditional university was once the haven of the elite. Okay, that all changed when we fast forward to the 20th century. After the post-war period, this is when democratization hit, and this is when our numbers went up. For example, 2 problems, too many students, university system too centralized. So what do? You have to find a solution. The quest for sustainability begins. What can we do? How can we cope with this? First, well, you open more universities. That's what we did. Lots of new universities. And then we built satellite campuses. That was one approach. The other approach that I'm interested in is decentralizing by implementing various outreach strategies. So, how sustainable have these strategies been? And this is what we'll look at today. And I did this in another context from an educational standpoint, educational technology standpoint. I now am applying it, starting to apply it, working with Susan Parks, who you may know, at Laval University. So basically, there are 3 parameters here. This is based on John Daniel's work. Accessibility, which is a major priority for students. It even defines their status. Faculty have always been the defenders of quality. That is their job. And then the administrators are there to make sure that we get paid. And a few other things. Keep order. Okay, so students have lots of priorities, but what I'm positing is that their main priority is accessibility. And then with faculty, again, quality, and cost effectiveness being a main priority. Now, what we're saying is that any model that does not take into consideration these 3 parameters will not be sustainable. Okay, so basically it's the key to sustainability. And in many models in the past were either student-driven, administration-driven, very rarely faculty-driven, and that's why we're excited about what we're doing, because it is finally a model which is faculty-driven. Let's look at it. First of all, the very first, look, faculty mobility. Ever since Comenius, ever since people have had sandals and can walk from France and from Germany and to Italy and so on, we've had faculty mobility. Correspondence courses started in England, mid-19th century, when the penny post came along. Distance education came along thanks to the Open University, 1969, ushering in a new era of online learning, of open learning since the 60s, and of course spawning many, many universities. Video conferencing as a technological response came along in the 70s. That is, dual mode universities, universities that teach on campus and off, developing that competency, using that technology. And then online learning, of course, with internet, came in 1995. Blended learning started occurring as early as 2000, somewhere around there. Universities, in some cases, ever since we've had computer technology, have been using it to some extent. And what we're talking about is blended online learning, which is a mixture. It's not online learning, it's not blended learning, it's blended online learning. And if you call right now, okay. Now, to what extent has each strategy proven to be sustainable as compared to the status quo? So we're looking at the status quo in the classroom. Can we do better? Have we done better? So accessibility, quality, and cost effectiveness, we're looking at it from, as we were saying, the classroom says. So is it high? Is it higher? Is it the same? Is it lower? Or is it low? Okay. So to what degree has each strategy contributed to language learning? This is what we'll look at today. And I'm saying this is a preliminary analysis. I have an article in press, and I'm working on another one which is focused on language learning. Now, basically what we want are high everywhere. High quality, we want high accessibility, we want high cost effectiveness, ideally. Okay, faculty mobility. That's when it all started, right? Things have gotten a lot easier. We're not wearing out as many sandals as we used to. So basically we're looking at higher accessibility, but it's limited. I mean, yes, I get in my car and I offer a course on another campus. Okay, a little more access. Those students would not have access otherwise. But it's not really sustainable because I don't want to do it for the rest of my life. Same quality, if the same professor is offering the course, well, pretty well. And lower cost effectiveness because there are added costs. Okay, we'll go through this quickly. I have a half-hour talk that I'll be squishing into 15 minutes. Language learning, see, this is a frequently implemented outreach strategy simply because usually language learning is done in face-to-face. It's pretty well been the modus operandi for most language courses. Open universities, other licensed universities have attempted language courses online and have done such to quite an extent, especially written language. But so it's mostly a dual mode university strategy. Let me see. Second, correspondence courses ever since the mid-1900s with Rainey Harper at the University of Chicago, University of London. They also achieved higher accessibility, but again, it was still limited. It was not really, it didn't go that far beyond, simply didn't have the numbers. Second of all, based on peer review, based on the academy, based on the reactions, it was considered of lower quality, even a second quality education. Higher education, higher cost effectiveness, yes, but again, very limited because we weren't talking about a lot of students, small numbers. So, as language learning, it was rarely implemented. A lot of these correspondence courses were, first of all, professional in nature, giving students technical skills, perhaps for writing courses, grammar and translation courses. I can think of a few off the top of my mind, but not for language acquisition as we know it. Now, third strategy, distance education, with coming to the forefront of the UK Open University, the BOU, especially the G20 countries. Okay, they did achieve accessibility, undeniably. They did achieve much higher accessibility. It actually broke the system of the elitist system in the UK. And but again, is it true? Is it not true? It was considered. It has been considered by peers to be of lower quality. Although the BOU is constantly being, when it's being assessed by students, very high levels of satisfaction. So is it higher? Is it lower? If we look at it from the eyes of the academy, very often it's still considered lower. Is that a prejudice? Okay, higher cost effectiveness compared to TUs. Yes, higher cost effectiveness has indeed been achieved. Not a lot, especially when you look at Canada, different countries in G20, where basically if you go to the university, you're going to pay about the same costs. I'd have to ask my colleague here about going to BOU whether it's actually cheaper to enroll at BOU than it would be at a state university in England. Okay. Language learning, it's regularly implemented in outreach strategies, especially using multimedia materials. TELUC, Athabasca offer different kinds of courses, and this is, of course, topped up with on-demand tutoring. The major weakness, of course, for a lot of online courses, first correspondence now online, is that you don't have a lot of peer-to-peer and support. That is changing slowly, but so long as you have a fixed-pace entry system, your students are at different points. So unless you have a cohort approach, and we're seeing that implemented by dual-mode universities who are doing that, keeping the cohort approach. Now, the fourth strategy, video conferencing, that did not really pan out too well either when it comes to really being the gold standard. Yes, higher accessibility was achieved, but if you had satellite campuses, you still had to go somewhere. So yes, some accessibility. Lower quality, again, because of lack of interactivity. Students on these satellite campuses really felt neglected. And also, there were lots of technical glitches that hampered video conferencing. And higher cost effectiveness, well, yes. If it's the same professor who's teaching a course and then you can offer it to several other campuses, well, yeah, you can. So, but it's not major, especially because there are quite high costs involved in installing this equipment and maintaining it. Now, if we look very quickly at language learning, rarely implemented video conferencing, especially if you're dealing with large numbers. You know, when it comes to language learning, you really have to keep the numbers small if you want to have a quality experience for students. Fifth, online learning. This also, when it comes to language learning, I think was a step backwards, especially in asynchronous mode, unless you're looking at language learning in the written form. In dual mode universities, it improved a bit. 50% of the courses at Laval are in this mode, what we call forum courses. So we do have higher accessibility, a little lower quality because of student isolation, faculty involvement, higher cost effectiveness despite high front-end design. So you've got a balancing thing there. You do have more front-end design, which is expensive, but overall you can achieve higher cost effectiveness. Now, let me see. The language learning, rarely implemented.